I'm Amrita Rajpan. I'm an early years specialist. I've been teaching for 22 years, but I've been learning my whole life. And that's why I have a company named Edu Learn Grow. I'm passionate about creating learning environments that are engaging, meaningful, and fun for children. I'm also a sports nutritionist, an avid traveler, an active Rotarian. I'm the territory head for the Early Childhood Association Mumbai. I'm the founder of EduLearn Grow and the co-founder of the ABCD show.
Hi, I'm Bela Kutwani, also known as Big B. Big for the size of my heart and B for Bela. A fun loving person with a great sense of humor and a passionate pickleball player. National Core Committee member of Early Childhood Association, founder and principal Cosmic Kids International, co-founder Puppet Maestros and the ABCD show, an educationist and a puppeteer who helps teachers to make learning fun for children by using puppets as a tool for teaching. My vision is to help parents and teachers raise emotionally intelligent children.
Welcome to season 2 of the ABCD show. First of all, we'd like to thank all our viewers for viewing our show, for being so committed to your own learning, and for showing us all your love. We are all geared up to get you the best educators to enhance your skills and to take your knowledge to new heights.
We have some really exciting basket of offerings. We have our ABCD shows where we will call experts to talk about their best practices. We will introduce you to some really value for money and effective products and services. And we have some incredible courses that will help you gain mastery in the subject.
Season 2 has a different format. We will have Ask Amrita and Bela on alternate Wednesdays, where you will ask us your questions on child development and we will revert. And on the other 2 Wednesdays, we will have ABCD shows with speakers or we'll showcase new products or new ideas and innovations.
So, parents and teachers, email us your questions on topics relating to early childhood development, education, and rearing on the ABCD Show 6 at gmail.com. And we will be back with the answers on Facebook Live. Waiting to see you soon.
So I'm really excited today. First, because this is a topic that a lot of people want to hear about, and we brought it to all of you. And it's something quite close to my heart also. And I'm really excited because Divya Punjabi is here with us today. So, I want to tell you all something about Divya. Divya and I have worked together for the longest time. I know Divya for 22 years. We've worked as colleagues. And the Divya I know is a perfectionist. Her expertise has been in leading the preschool curriculum team and ensuring the vision and philosophy of Kangaroo Kids Education Limited, which is KK, and everyone knows that, is translated in curriculum instruction and assessment. And she really has the talent to guide this preschool team and develop hands-on curriculum that will capture any preschool's imagination. Divya started her career as a caring teacher and she supervised the company-owned Kangaroo Kids Center. She's been there for 26 years and she has been responsible for creating an atmosphere that's stimulating, encouraging, and basically adaptive to the needs of all these students. And she has replicated this environment at all the Kangaroo Kids centers that she set up for Kangaroo Kids Education Limited. She also has a in-depth understanding of andragogy, and she's implemented adult learning programs with supporting behavior indicators to observe teachers in class. And she's committed to meeting high standards of education She's traveled a lot. She's conducted a lot of teaching development sessions. She has great interpersonal skills. And her last role was that of a culture custodian of Kangaroo Kids Education Limited. And her prime role was to foster and expound the Kangaroo Kids culture of igniting human greatness across all. So she's now looking at contributing to society, everything that she has learned over the past 26 years. So welcome, Divya. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you, Divya, for coming on our show. We really are looking forward to listening to all your wonderful ideas and that knowledge that you're sharing with all of us. Thank you once again for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me, Bela and Amrita, both of you. Thank you so much.
Now, I want to tell everyone here, Divya has this vast bank of knowledge, and it's really important to just dive in and take everything that you can. So listen to her, and we're going to go ahead with this. So Divya, before we start, I think it's important that you share what, HOTS, the abbreviation HOTS stands for, and what is it all about? Why is this so important?
So imagine children leaving school, with not having literacy and numeracy skills. I mean, that would be such an outcry, right? Parents and everybody would be upset. Now, for a moment, think about students leaving school with none of the real life skills that are required for the 21st century. Which, if you see the McKinsey report, it very clearly says that employers are saying that the employees they currently have probably don't have critical thinking, are not able to think creatively, very happy in their comfort zone. But if we want our preschoolers to be equipped and be prepared to live in this 21st century, which is so volatile, which is unpredictable and ever changing, it is very, very important that we teach them to think about problems that we are facing in life. I mean, who prepared us for the pandemic, right? They need to explore possibilities. They will have to come up with creative solutions to problems. I mean, all of us must have read about that student who's come up with a PPE kit, which has a cooling system. I mean, we want children who can, actually, take up the real problems. Instead of asking children what you want to grow up to be, if we ask what is the problem that you would like to solve in the world. So we also need to make sure that we are, encouraging them to critically evaluate what we read and hear in the situation where there's so much of fake news that is happening, right? Also consider and appreciate other points of view. Very often that's a skill which we all need to develop. And they also need to make reasonable judgments. So that is higher order thinking skills.
Very true, Divya. In fact, even the NEP mentions that these skills are very, very important for the children.
Yeah, so the National Education Policy 2020 very clearly emphasizes that its education need not focus only on memorizing and assimilating information, but building other capacities beyond the cognitive capacities of literacy and numeracy. We also need to make sure that we are building capacities for critical thinking, higher order thinking skills, and social, emotional, everything else, ethical dispositions.
So true.
Absolutely. Divya, one thing we realized on the ABCD show is that we want to make things usable for people. So let's look at an example to understand this higher order thinking skills.
So
and
if
how
I
is it
have
possibly used, yeah.
So if I have to ask you a question, like as I read the question, Amrita, if you can give me the answers, what are the three colors of a traffic signal?
Red, yellow, and green.
Okay. Then what is the role of a traffic policeman?
To control the traffic.
Okay. Name the different vehicles that you see on the road.
Car, truck, cycle, motorcycle.
The last question. Yeah. What will happen if one day the traffic signal is out of order and there is no traffic policeman on the road?
Yes.
Chaos.
So the thing is, the first three answers are basically about observation skills, which is, just about facts, right? 3 and the rule. The fourth one, if you ask children, they have to visualize that context. They have to evaluate the consequences And we all have experience living in Bandra, Khara, Mumbai. If you don't have a signal working, and you know what happens. So when you ask these kind of questions which don't have a right or a wrong answer, which is open-ended, you are encouraging higher order thinking skills. And learning for all individuals takes place in a social and a cultural context, right? We either learn through study, we learn through exercise, or we learn through personal experiences.
But how do you use this learning that you've learned? How do you actually use it?
So basically what learning is, we have to understand that first. It's a process of acquiring knowledge, but that doesn't mean it's only about memorizing and assimilating information. How do you use so much information? I mean, information is available today at the click of a button. You've got Google, right? But we need to teach children the cognitive operations of how to be able to synthesize, evaluate this information, how they can use it in their real life. We all know that human beings, right from birth, we are continuously learning, either through language, through communication, interacting with the environment.
Absolutely. So what I'm understanding is these levels of thinking are progressive. They start at some point, then they progress on to another point. So can you elaborate more on these levels of thinking?
Yes. So first, let me just explain to you a little more in details what higher order thinking skills are. It is, as I said, it's not about memorizing. So when we assess children on only facts, we actually assessing them on their memory skills, how much they can recall. That doesn't mean that the lower order thinking skills are not important. They are important because they build the foundation on which you can take it. If they don't have information, say about farm animals, you cannot take it to application, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. It's still you don't have the base. But higher order thinking is much more than that. They need to understand the facts and concepts. They need to categorize. They need to manipulate, apply, put them together in new or novel ways, and apply them to seek new solutions for new problems, right? I mean, today we can see around us, new solutions have come for new problems.
Correct.
Very true. Neera, can you throw some light on how these skills were discovered and by whom, if the audience can get to know that as well?
I think, Bela, what you want to know is the brain behind the HOTS,
Yes.
right? It's the higher order thinking skills. So the classical Greek philosopher Socrates is often assumed to be the founder of the critical thinking skills. What he said, that the idea of teaching should not be about giving answers. A teacher cannot go into class and say, okay, this is a spider, this is this, this is this. It's more about asking questions. Teachers have the habit of asking at least 400 questions, they say, in a day. Whereas it should be a reversal. Let children ask questions. Even our own president, if you see one of his quotes, Abdul Kalam's quote is, one of the very important characteristics of a student is to question. Let the students ask questions because they want to learn. Whereas we focus on teaching, when the focus should be on learning. It should be the other way. From here, Bloom's taxonomy was created by Benjamin Bloom in 1956. So what he did is basically created 6 levels of cognitive skills. So the first one is remembering, that is your recalling known facts. Understanding, that is explaining the ideas or concepts. Applying, using this information in new situations. Analyzing, you're connecting the dots, basically connecting between different areas. Evaluating, justifying a point of view or decision. And creating is when you're producing something new or original.
Yes,
Okay, I
makes
get
sense.
this. Yeah, I get this, Divya. I also get, Socrates was there before Christ. We have Benjamin Bloom in, what did you say, 1956,
Yes.
right? So can you see that it's been established right from the time before Christ that we need to be having children ask the questions. So I think that one thing is really made very clear out here, that the questions need to come from the children. Yeah. So now can you elaborate more on this classification of Bloom's taxonomy? Because you just told us, but I think we would want to know it more in detail.
So this is a level way of thinking which builds up to critical thinking, and each level goes harder as it goes up. So the first one is knowledge, that is remembering information. So very clearly it is know it. When children, identify, we ask them to list, we ask them to, basic count, list the names in the story. list the characters, or if we, just go down to the level of remembering. The next level is comprehension or understanding, which is got it. Has the child got it? Can he explain it? Can he summarize what he has learned? The third level is application. In simple words, if I have to say, is use it. Can he use the concept or skills that he learned in another situation? Because real learning actually happens outside the classroom. It doesn't happen in the classroom. Then the next step is analyze. Can he sort it? Can he infer? Can he identify the similarities and differences? Can he recognize a pattern? The fifth one is evaluating. That is, judge it. Can he stand by his decision? Can he defend his values? Can he express his opinions? Can he critique, not criticize? And the sixth one is create it. I think during pandemic, we've seen everybody creating banana cake. We are making paintings. There is coffee painting. Why? Because creating gives you the highest level of dopamine is released. It is a very good feeling. The brain feels very good when you're creating. So some of us like painting. Some of us have liked cooking. We've done a lot of it. So that's your higher order of thinking.
I like the way that you simplified it for everyone. Know it, got it, use it, sort it, judge it, and create it. It was so simple and beautifully explained, Divya. But
I know,
want
I
to
also wrote it down
Yes,
because it
I
was
said
so nice.
yeah. And Divya, but we can you, do you think we can use this for even our online classes? I mean, can you give some examples how we can use it for
Yeah, I
online
think when
classes?
we had the discussion yesterday, you said you already had a question before the
Yes.
session.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
Blooms can be used for virtual learning, even for preschool. If you are looking at remembering, you need to use flashcards. You can have quiz for the children, and you can have a worksheet for the older kids. If you want to look for understanding, if you're looking at whether the children have understood a concept, have it like a fun game. Have a scavenger hunt, show and tell. You can ask children, go look for red things, and they are ready with it and they're talking about it. You can have a pet parade where they come with their soft toys, and they're talking about it. So they've understood the concept. They will talk about their pets, how to take care of their pets. If you're looking at applying, draw what they have learned. That's the best thing you can have a child to do, is when they illustrate. I remember one child we had gone for a field trip to the zoo, and when we came back, she drew an ice cream parlor. So I said, but we went to the zoo. Where did you see? She said, I saw the ice cream parlor on the way. So that's real learning, because she was able to pick up what she saw. Then you can ask children to make a digital portfolio when they've drawn and put it up in a portfolio. Ask the child to continue a story, predict what would happen. What would happen in the Red Riding if the woodcutter didn't come? So there could be no right or wrong answer. Somebody would say Doraemon can come. Somebody will say Peppa Pig will come. There's no right or wrong. Let them do it. Have a game called categories. So you choose a letter, list the categories, like how we used to have name, place, animal thing, and tell them to come up with the list, and you can write down. So your letters are getting reinforced, your objects, people, names, animals, whatever you want. If you want them to analyze, then you ask them, would you rather questions. But they should be simple and age appropriate. I mean, what you would ask a 3-year-old and you'd ask a 5-year-old would be different. You can also ask them to take interviews or surveys of their family members, and just make a simple bar graph using blocks. How many people like apple? How many people like to have juice made of apple? How many like apple jam? Creating, as I already said, they can make models, they can make a project, song. You can make a game like build a story. You start with a few words, and then each one adds 2-3. You can also have a virtual talent show where they can showcase their talents, whatever they've created, keeping in mind maybe all the multiple intelligences. So these are few things that you can do even in the virtual learning space.
Thank you, Divya. Lovely answers, in fact, and I'm sure they can all use these ideas in their virtual classrooms now. So, Divya, what is critical thinking according to you?
Thinking is a higher order thinking skills, because it goes beyond, I said, observation and memorization of facts. So what we are talking about is when we want our learners to be evaluative, we want them to be creative, and we want them to be innovative. We don't want them to be, as if like they are working in a factory and they're just happy in their comfort zone, whether they are learning or not learning. I mean, you can see even around you, some adults are very happy in their space because it's their comfort zone. There's no innovation, there's no creating, there's no critical thinking that's happening. What happens is most people think critical thinking is about criticizing. You break critical thinking into criticizing, and it means that, but actually what it means is criteria based. these criteria is that we distinguish fact from fiction. So that is critical thinking. They are able to synthesize and evaluate information, communicate clearly, solve problems, and discover the truth. So project-based learning. I mean, in Kangaroo Kids, I think last year we started in the primary something called the Genius Arm, where kids can, pursue their passions so that they can create. And it was amazing. We had a child who created a social platform only for the Billabongers. So we need to give these kind of opportunities for children to create.
I think we need to move from the 3 R's to all these things now.
Yes.
Critical thinking is such an important thing right now.
Yes.
Thank you, Divya, for that.
Absolutely. What I'm getting, Divya, is, this Bloom's taxonomy and the higher order thinking skills. All this is to move children from a lower level of thinking to a higher order of thinking. From knowledge, which is gathering information, to comprehension. That is confirming the information they've already got. From application, that is making use of the knowledge, to taking this information apart, to analyzing this information. From evaluating the information, that is judging this whole outcome of the information, what is it, to synthesizing, just putting everything together and then creating something new. So it's, a very holistic thing which starts right from a bottom rung and goes right up. And this is going to provide learners with skills and the motivation to become innovative producers of, ideas, services, goods. And it's not a linear process. You can just go back and forth. You can skip a couple of steps. So it's so wonderful that, this can happen anytime, any place.
Yes, and critical thinking is not an add-on. It's not like a separate subject that you need to have a period for that. It has to be an integral part of learning. So when you're teaching them float and sink, for example, you don't tell them this is float and this is sink, right? You give it to the kid, give him things and let him tell you why this is floating and why this is sinking. Let him evaluate that this is heavy, this is light. Very often we want to give them the answers, right? If he's making a tower, let him realize that the base has to be broader for the tower to stand, right? So all this is during play. In preschool, it has to be during play. Make it deliberate. And it should be across all the learning experiences that we are giving children.
Absolutely. But I really feel that this has to become something which our audience gets right now. So I think what we can do is, let's start with a simple story. Let's start with Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I think everyone knows that story. Let's take it over there and let's see how we can use HOTS for this. All right. So I'm going to ask you all have to use the chat box right now. So what, if you are to apply this knowledge which you've just got right now from Divya, and we are using the Bloom's taxonomy, if we had to use knowledge which was a basic level, so what questions would you ask, or what would you do? What activities would you do in the class to discern children's knowledge? Do you use the chat box, please? Are we seeing any answers coming in?
I'm also going to Facebook to check if anybody's writing something there.
The characters in the story, yes. Okay, knowledge, asking question-based question like how many bears were there? Absolutely. Share warm-up activities. But how would the warm-up activities help with knowledge, Mariam? Comparative and superlative degrees.
I think the small, medium, large. What
Small,
she's trying
medium,
to say,
big.
because
Yeah.
you have the baby
Who
and
was
the
the
mama
main
and
character? Narrate a story verbally and will ask the children to illustrate the story with their drawing, with their imagination. So basically what we're talking about is knowledge right now. All right. So just asking them to identify and know the facts of the story will give you all the answers. So whatever you do for that should give you the answers. Any ideas, anyone else?
Sunita's mentioning on Facebook, she's mentioning that how many bears were there. That would be one question.
that would also be
Yeah.
knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah, see, Winnie has written, where was Goldilocks going and whose house did she see? So absolutely, that's all knowledge. So now they've got all the facts of the story right. So now the next question will be, how do you know they've understood the story? How do you think they've got comprehension? So can you write down in the chat box? So we're going to use that. How do we know they've got it? We have to know it. Now, how do we know they've got it? What happened next? So when you do a role play, they could have understood, okay. Response cards, the sequence of events. Okay, so they've understood the flow of the story. Asking questions, open-ended questions. Okay. All right. So how are they going to use this story now? How are they going to use it? So how is it applicable in their lives? Is it safe to enter stranger's house? No, but how is that applicable? Yeah, because you're asking them questions which
Connected to
relate
real
to their
life.
life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm always checking the door before the house is locked. What would happen if? Yeah. You could also ask, what would happen if Goldilocks came to your house? Oh,
Yeah.
right. Let's go to the next question. So, analysis. So, analysis is sorted. So, what would you do for analysis? Divya, you're checking all the answers now?
Yes, yes.
How would each bear have felt? All right. Character comparison between self and Goldilocks. Take survey. Very
Yeah,
nice.
so it is
Huh?
in the affective domain. Yeah, it comes in the affective domain. So that's
Draw the emotions of the characters. If you were Goldilocks, what would you do? So you're analyzing. Yeah. So you could compare the story to reality, no? What events really cannot happen in this story? Can people just go to people's houses and eat porridge? So I'm getting on to the next one, which is evaluation. So evaluation is judge it. So tell me some activities you would, or questions you would ask for judging. So you can ask children for a different end. How about if we ask them if Goldilocks was a good girl or a bad girl, if her behavior was good or bad? And why would you say that?
Yeah, Madhumya tells over here. Do you think Goldilocks did the right thing?
Yeah. Do you think she did the right thing? And Hira says, do you think it's okay to enter anyone's house? Right? And it's important to ask why. You're right, Madhurima.
And even Jessie
why?
says the feeling levels of each character, how they were feeling it.
yeah. So that would be also comparing,
Yes.
evaluating basically, and then
But now we're
creating.
talking about judging, yeah. So now let's get on to creation. So what could you create? What questions would you create to have them create, have the children create? A different ending. Absolutely. How would it be if Goldilocks went over there and the story was, what if she went to three fishes' house instead of three bears' house? You know, how would the whole thing change? Yeah. Create a house which Goldilocks could go to.
That also would be nice. They could create a model like a 3D or 2D model.
Yeah, yeah. Very nice. Hello. What would you do if you saw an open house? Yeah. So can you see the amount of questions which are coming out from you all? Should we
How
take
it's
on
shifting, and also Amrita, the way it's shifting. Otherwise, we tend to ask
The similar
you know,
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, we ask the sequence.
Yes.
We'll ask what she did, just the basic information. Yeah,
Could just ask factual questions,
absolutely.
basically. So now this whole shift is happening. Oh, that's wonderful. I think we should take on a little higher standard also, because we've got questions with a story. Should we take on something like a concept? Should we take on like solar system or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
would
think
be
it's a
nice
good
because
idea.
that's
Same thing.
abstract. Yeah, that was
Yeah, let's
concrete
do
and this is
something like
abstract. Yeah.
Absolutely. Come on, let's try that. I want to make sure we get absolute value out here. So if we had the solar system, what kind of questions could you ask for knowledge or remembering? Name the planets. Absolutely. Identifying the planets, naming the planets.
List them in the order. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many planets are there? Yes.
Yeah, yeah. What would we do for understanding? Draw the planets. So you have understood where they are, which is in order, how it is. Yes. Absolutely. You can even talk about some facts about the planets. How could you apply this? How would you have it apply in your life? Or not in your life, basically generally in life. Galaxy, sun sizes of the planets. You could talk about size. You could draw, create a model. Yeah. You could also talk about the inner planets and the outer planets, no? Out there.
You can classify them.
And classify them. Yes. What about analysis? So analysis is sort it, basically compare. What would we do? Compare their sizes, which is nearer to the sun. You could even make a Venn diagram and have characteristics of two planets and see what is similar and what is different.
And it need not be on a worksheet. If you have concept cards and Amrita, you have two hooplas. So you place
you
them.
can do that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So do a hands-on, need not be through a worksheet, because when you place the cards and the kids know the difference between, use the Venn diagram on the floor, literally.
Use make it a concrete Venn diagram, which you can
experience, because they're still not so much used to Venn diagrams.
Absolutely. What about evaluating? So evaluating is judging it. You could talk about why Pluto is not called a planet anymore. No?
Yeah. Because suddenly the checklist has changed. I mean, in the sense why it is not.
Pluto is not a planet anymore. So why doesn't it come into the category of planets? Right? And which is the next one out here? So we're creating, yeah. So what would you create?
And make a model, yeah. They can create a model also.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What about going on a holiday to one of these planets We can't go anywhere else now.
Right now,
Let's
it
go
would be
to a
me.
planet.
Yeah, just leave this planet with the pandemic and go to another planet.
Getting a travel brochure for the planet, for the holiday plan to the planet. You know, here you have all the characteristics of the planet. You have everything out here. So it's a big
Most
thing.
needed right now.
Absolutely. So ask the children to enact as the planet themselves and place themselves around the sun.
Rotation and
So
revolution
create
you
a-
can teach. Yeah, you can create the whole orbits of every planet. Yeah.
Create a 3-dimensional model. Very nice. You can do a virtual visit. Correct. Now everything is virtual.
Good, they've got it.
They've got it.
They've
Good.
got hots.
We got hot, yes.
So I'm going to tell you about this thing when we were talking, and I was just thinking how wonderful it was that this whole thing is not required to be linear, you know, and progresses step by step in a sequence. So I'm going to tell you one example of a friend of mine, and she's a teacher, and her name is Anu. So Anu, if you're listening, this is about you. So she was telling me, Anu basically has a foot problem. And because of that foot problem, she can wear only one particular kind of footwear, and that's the fit flop, you know, shoes. If anyone has seen, they're basically slippers. So the fit flop slippers. And because she can wear only that, she decided to buy 3 or 4. So she would have some kind of variety, and she put them in a drawer. And now one day Anu was really late to go to school. So she just picked up one black and one brown, and she didn't see the difference, and she wore them on. And when she was nearing the school, she realized that she's got 2 different shoes out here now, 2 different footwear. And it was too late to go back. And she went to class and she said, now, you know, teaching a senior KG child, and children have a lot of questions. And she said, I'm sure they will all bombard me with questions. So she planned questions of her own. So before they could ask her, she sat down over there and she said, why do you think Anu teacher has 2 different shoes? Right? So there those children, maybe Anu teacher was too busy, maybe she's very fashionable, you know, or maybe this is a new trend, and the whole topic went on to so many different, you know, it took on so many different tangents that it was wonderful, because this whole discussion went on to expand everyone's thinking. And then she said, okay, if I was so busy in the morning, now what can I do to not be so busy in the morning? So first you wonder that Anu teacher was really busy in the morning and that's why she couldn't. But now why she's so busy, and what can we do to create a structure for her so that she's not so busy and she wears the right footwear to school? So can you believe this is all happening in class in just a conversation? It's nothing which is really planned. And it doesn't have to be step by step that you get the knowledge, then you use the analysis, the comprehension, and then the analysis, and then evaluating, and then creating. But you can just go on from anywhere. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. You have to just realize that you're taking children's thinking from a lower level to a higher level, getting them to expand their thinking. Right? So we'll get on with the rest.
Great example, Amrita. Really loved it. And the kids can really put on a thinking cap and think what to do next. And it's very good.
Yeah, true.
A very good example of divergent thinking. So there's nothing, no right or wrong. Just everything is acceptable, whatever the kid says.
Right.
Absolutely. So Divya, it's really important to teach this higher order thinking right from school, you know. But I really want you to tell our audience more about its importance, because this is something which has to be in every school. Every teacher has to do this.
So basically, higher order thinking leads to deeper understanding of ideas, of concepts. Like if you're talking about festivals, what is the deeper concept? What is the reason behind it? So our children, I mean, the children who are now entering preschool, the 21st century children, they will need more than the traditional 3 hours of reading, writing, and arithmetic. They will have to be prepared for tomorrow's knowledge-based technological and highly innovative careers, and their preparation needs to start today. We thought we would, pandemic has accelerated the use of technology, something that we thought we would do 5 years down the lane. We were forced to do it, right? So we don't know what the future is. It's very unpredictable. So I think whatever the computer cannot do is the skill sets that the children will have to be empowered with.
True. Very true. Divya, can you share some strategies that we can enhance this higher order thinking in the classroom for early years?
So I think first, let me just highlight a little bit. It is very important to start in the early years, because that is the time when, actual higher order thinking happens when we are adults, right? But it is in preschool when, they are like sponges. They love learning. They want to expand their knowledge. And it is important that we build the cognitive abilities of the child at that point. It's not only the paper, pencil, or screen time that we are giving kids. It's how we help them to interact with the world, because that's how even the brain functions, right? It has to be both the sides. So if I have to give you some strategies, I'll just, if you want them to be creative, innovative, critical thinkers, if you look at literature, basically, if you look at a lot of stories, you can expand concepts from the stories. I'll give you some examples of some storybooks from what the, the audience can pick up. If you're taking the book Rosie's Walk, which is about Rosie the hen who goes for a walk around the farmyard, right? And she's meeting people, meeting different characters. You have to ask children if they can determine what is going to happen next, because inferring is not something that the kids can do easily. It's a little higher order. Patterning and sequencing. The hungry caterpillar. I think we all know the story of the metamorphosis that the caterpillar ate, became a cocoon. We need to ask children if they can, actually identify the sequence. So sequencing and patterning again helps higher order thinking skills. Drawing conclusions, very interesting. We all thought that we know the story of Three Little Pigs, but there is a true story of Three Little Pigs where you have to listen to the side of the wolf, where he said he's not wrong. So let children listen to this story and ask the children who's telling the truth. Is it the wolf or is it the pigs? Then you need to ask them to compare and contrast. So read out the story of the princess and the pea and the paper bag princess. Ask children to compare the personalities of the two princesses. So you're bringing in all these critical thinking, higher order thinking skills. Analyzing, if you give mouse a cookie which is hungry, and then he'll ask for a glass of milk, then he wants to check the mirror, then he'll ask for a pair of scissors. So you need to encourage children cause and effect. If this happens, then what will happen? Very, very important, because that's your science, actually, what you're teaching, logical thinking. If you're reading the story, who sank the boat? And I'm just giving you some examples of books, but predicting can happen everywhere. Yeah? You ask the child, stop in the middle of the story and ask them what is going to happen next. Brainstorming. If you're reading a book called The Doorbell Rang, every time the doorbell rings, somebody else is coming in. So let children think of a way how to solve. Every story, there is a problem which has to be solved. This is my favorite, this book. Inventing, read the book, which is It Looked Like Spilt Milk, and then they figure out what actually it is. So the activity, what you need to do is take the child out, let him see the cloud and imagine what the cloud is. Is it a bird? Is it an angel? And maybe, build a story around that. And something, this is very, very easy. Then Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you need to evaluate as to whether, it is right to go to somebody's house. Little Red Hen, is it okay? She wanted to share. She did not want to share. So should we help? As parents, if we have parents in the audience, expand the discussions at home. Bring it in the real life context. When you're boiling water, show them actually water cycle is happening over there. Yeah, because there is condensation, precipitation. You may not use those words, but it is happening. Connect concepts. You're talking about festivals, bring it to holidays, bring it to celebrations. Brain loves connections. The neural pathways are built when there is connection. Elaborate and expand. When the child comes home and talks about dairy products, expand. Going to the supermarket, show them how food products are sorted and kept. Elaborate and explain. I said, picture is 1,000 words. Every time they draw something, let them talk about it. Yeah. So these are few examples that I can only give you, keeping in mind storybooks. So I'm sure Bela, you also have a lot of experience on this.
Definitely, but only thing is running out of time now. Divya, it's already 42. It's like it's time to take some few questions. If anybody has any questions, please put it in the question answer box. Until then, we can continue till we get some questions on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Bela, you can also suggest one other thing which I want to actually tell is encourage questioning. So sometimes teachers, because they have to complete the syllabus, they may not be able to answer. So we used to have something called the parking lot. So you keep the questions there and answer some other day, but make sure your children are giving like right now you're giving the audience, right, an opportunity. Every session we have that. We need to have the same practice in the classroom. Let children ask questions. So we have a parking lot, park the questions, and then come back to them later.
I want to share one example here, Divya. I just recently saw some video about the kids in the classroom, and they were given different objects. And what they needed to do was find out which object rolls, which object slide, and which object does both. So teacher had put the hula hoop, two hula hoops. One was overlapping, of course. The one which is rolling will be on one side. The one which is sliding is on the other side, and one that does both is in the overlap portion. So the kids have to actually use the objects. They had a plank of wood, and the kids had to see which was rolling, which was sliding, and place in the correct order. So when that lets them think, let them try out what they can do. I love the real example a lot.
It is, they are learning by themselves, self-directed.
Right, right.
Absolutely. But basically, what I've got is, when children, children are exposed to all these things, these questions, they expand their thinking. So our questions really need to change. They need to first start with a who, what, which kind of questions. And then after that, we need to ask, why do you think? How do you think it would happen? What do you think would happen? Justify the actions of this person. So, children start thinking differently and they don't have just one answer. Not Red Riding, hood was red. So
Right.
it needs to change. How would you act in this kind of situation? What do you like about this character? So children should really explore different thinking. I think another thing is really brainstorming with their family. I think parents need to involve children in discussions at home and talk about, have them make small decisions for themselves. What clothes to wear, choosing things, and why do they want to wear those clothes? So they're sort of judging and evaluating and actually finding out why. They're sorting out the ideas in their head and making these decisions. So, what would you wear for an occasion? What would you cook? What kind of holiday would you like to go to? Why would you like to go to that kind of holiday? So I think it's something which should just be brought out in daily life.
Like prioritizing, like, when we give children 2 to 3 tasks, is something that even we adults need to know which one you want to do first. So it is a higher order thinking because you are asking them the importance of each activity. So, all these things may seem very simple, but they are real life skills.
With an idea for justifying opinions, you could have them like a little debate for the small kids in the classroom. Divide the classroom into two groups and give them a topic, maybe like could we have pigs as pets at home? So for and against, and let them discuss and talk about it. It will really build up the thinking skills as well for that.
I think it builds confidence also.
Yes,
it helps to expand yourself. Yeah, great.
I'd also like to add the brain research over here, where it is very clear that if you want kids to be lifelong learners, where everything goes in the long term, we have to encourage children to apply content, skills, processes that are, they are learning in any environment. So they're able to apply, because only then they will be able to examine any concept in a deeper level. Otherwise, it will just remain as a superficial knowledge in the short term and it's gone, completely gone.
I think it's very important, for the brain to start, using itself in different ways also. Because right now what we've seen is we see the brain and we expect it to be just one whole. But the brain actually has different functions and different parts over there. So these modules are all separate. And one module from one part connects to the other part when they perform all these complex tasks. So I guess, we start having these modules interact with each other. You have a different kind of brain then after that. So, this, for example, I read somewhere that this motor cortex, a part of the brain, which used to which controls the motor functions. But now they've researched and found out that it becomes activated even when the brain is engaged in problem solving, or in using their memory, or in language, or in emotion, or in active learning. So you get that the brain is actually we're using these different modules, and all of them are getting interconnected. And then, we've got this whole greater way of thinking there.
And we are creating lifelong learners because they are applying skills across. Yeah.
Yeah. Shilpa Raizadi is asking, can we use higher order thinking for math in pre-primary? Yes. Divya, you want to say something, or should I say what?
So you can say that. Maybe I'll add on to what you have to say.
Basically, when we're doing patterning and we're doing sequencing, all these are higher order things, skills. So when I'm looking at a tessellation, Shilpi, a tessellation is a pattern which doesn't end. So a child also needs to figure out which are the patterns that don't end. So that is a higher order thinking, no?
And also creating their own pattern, because we usually use pattern only to math, right? But if you have a musical pattern, right? Because there's pattern even in the music beat. So instead of they create their own pattern, music, give them different musical instruments and they create their pattern. So that becomes a higher order. Or if they are evaluating between, musical instruments using different patterns, the wind instrument and the air instrument, there's so much, because we link math only to the math, but math is all around us.
Math is all around and in
all
everything.
Around us. Yes.
Hetal Doshi is asking that please throw some light on risk play in toddlers.
What play?
Risk. When they're playing and maybe there's some object of risk that is there. It's not very
basically
clear.
Safety precautions, are you asking,
Yes.
Hetal Doshi? Is that your thing? So I guess that doesn't come into this context right now. But yeah, of course, we have to take safety precautions into consideration whenever children are playing. Yeah.
Equipment which are certified as child safe. I mean, you have the parameters, you have organizations who are endorsing. So that is something you have to have a look at.
Yeah, like the paint which you're using, it needs to be non-toxic.
Yeah.
Or, you have cushioning on your walls. You have to make sure that children don't just hurt themselves.
Or ECA would has those guidelines, right? Of
all those guidelines. Please
Yes.
look at them. Yes.
Just look at that book there. It's a beautiful, comprehensive book which covers all of this.
Absolutely.
So let's conclude the day today, Divya. I want like to add a little bit about for learners for the 21st century skills. The children will need to set far beyond the mandate of the standards of normal exams that we give them to the children, which has been much more than just examinations. And they should be critical thinkers. They should be clear in their communication skills. So these are the skills that are required for the 21st century. And we teachers have to give this to our children, especially in critical thinking and even creativity. It plays a very big importance. So all teachers gear up now and let's go learn with all these knowledge with Divya shared with us. Let's go back to class and use all these skills over there as well. Any more questions you have? Please, last 2 minutes we have. Oh my God.
Bela wants to hear a story from you, Bela.
Not for this talk, is it? Maybe for another storytelling session, I'll definitely share a story.
Yeah, maybe we should have a storytelling session, Neelam. We'll plan something like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions? Anybody, or we can...
I think there is one over here in the question and answer. We haven't checked. How can parents apply these skills during the pandemic? I think, what's the name of the person? Renuka. Renuka, very easily, when you're saying stories, just apply them. And as I said, it's just anything. Take these discussions at home, asking children, even when you're doing a cooking activity or you're deciding what to wear or creating a routine for yourself, children can just be asked their opinions.
So if you just flip it, in the sense, if you understand that children are coming with a lot of information, very often, we think we have to give them that this is an apple, this is red, this is a fruit. Flip it, show it to them, ask them what it is. Even if they say it's a cherry, right? So they've still got two connections. It's a fruit, it's color red. So if you keep thinking that way, is that, I have to teach them. You have to create an environment for them to learn. That's the big shift that you need to have as parents, as teachers, all of us, even teachers. We tend to also be, helicoptering in the class, thinking that they don't know. Children are capable of lot of, they're coming with a lot of information.
And I love it when children get that aha moment, when they figured it out for themselves. Oh my God, it's like this. Oh yeah, it's red and it's a fruit. And but I think it's too small. I think the cherry is smaller. This is bigger. So they're figuring it out for themselves. So what could be bigger?
But as adults, we have Amrita, we have the right answer in our head that the child has to say apple. So we want the apple. But if he says cherry, I mean, I've seen that in classroom observation. Teacher is showing a thermometer. The child said it's a ruler. No, it's a thermometer. The child has made a connection that it's a measuring tool. Okay, he's only has to bring it in another context. So you need to, as you rightly said, those right questions, if you prompt them, they'll get the answer.
Very true.
Absolutely. I think we have one more question here.
Yeah.
Kids don't like listening to audio stories only. Any way to make them listen with interest? Yeah, I guess there are so many ways. Just create novelty around everything, na?
I think since somebody is asking this, Amrita, let me share with them the Wiggle Waggle story since we are here right now. Let's end it with a story.
Love it. Love it. Vela, always your storytelling.
Yes, since the question came up, I said, okay, let me just answer them. Okay, so we have, just imagine I've got some features on my thumb. I don't have it right now, but just imagine. This is Mr. Wiggle. Say hi, Mr. Wiggle. Both of you have to act with me.
Hello, hi, Mr. Wiggle.
And this is Mr. Waggle. Say hi, Mr. Waggle.
Hi, Mr. Waggle.
Now, this is Mr. Wiggle's house. He opens the door, pop, goes inside his house, pop, and closes the door, pop. And this is Mr. Waggle's house. He opens the door, pop, goes inside his house, pop, and closes the door, pop. And one day, Mr. Wiggle wants to go to Mr. Waggle's house. So what does he do? He opens the door, pop, comes out of his house, pop, and closes the door, pop. And he goes up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill. And he reaches Mr. Waggle's house. He goes, knock, knock. Nobody's opening the door. He goes, knock, knock. Nobody is opening the door. He goes more louder. Knock, knock. Nobody is opening the door. Let me call out his name. I got Mr. Waggle. Call out with me.
Mr. Waggle.
Not opening the door. Let's call a little more louder. Mr. Waggle.
Mr. Waggle.
Still not opening the door. Let's call more louder. Mr. Waggle.
Mr. Waggle.
Still not opening.
Not listening.
What should I do? Maybe he's gone to the market. Or maybe he's gone to see a movie. Or maybe he's gone to sleep. I'll go back home and come another day. So he goes up the hill and down the hill. Up the hill and down the hill. Up the hill and down the hill. And he reaches his house. He opens the door, pop, goes inside his house, pop, and closes the door, pop. Now the next day, Mr. Waggle wants to go to Mr. Wiggle's house. So what will he do? Open the door, pop, come out of his house, pop, and close the door, pop. And he goes up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, and he reaches Mr. Wiggle's house. He goes, knock, knock. Nobody is opening the door. He goes, knock, knock. No one's opening the door. More louder. Knock, knock.
Knock, knock.
Nobody is opening the door. So what are we going to do? Let's call out his name. All right. Mr.
Mr.
Wiggle. Answering. Mr.
Mr.
Wiggle.
Wiggle.
Answering more louder. Mr.
Mr.
Wiggle.
Wiggle.
Still not answering the door. What should I do? Maybe he's gone for a movie. Or maybe he's gone to the market. Or maybe he's fallen asleep. Let me go back home and come another day. So he goes up the hill and down the hill. Up the hill and down the hill. Up the hill and down the hill. And he reaches his house. He opens the door. Pop. Goes inside his house. Pop. And closes the door. Pop. Now the next day, Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle want to go to each other's house. So what are they going to do? They open the door, pop, come out of the house, pop, and close the door, pop. And they go up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, and they meet. Hi, Mr. Wiggle. Hi, Mr. Waggle. I came to your house. You will not see you tomorrow. Bye. And they go the hill and the hill, up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, and they reach their house. What will they do now? Open the door, pop, go inside their house, pop, and close the door, pop, and they both go to sleep. Now, with just one story, you can teach so many concepts from this one story. It could be for up and down. It can be open and close also. It can be for so many things. When the name's loud and soft, you knock only one softer, you know. So a lot of things, but just one story you can teach the child.
But also the
Lovely
technique
story.
that you used, no, Bela, it's
Yes.
I don't know who asked you the question, is when she said that the child doesn't like to listen.
Yes.
You made it auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. So all
That
the
was my
learning
idea.
styles were used. So the
And I
child
also
may be-
try to involve the child in the story.
Absolutely. So that is how storytelling has to be done. You need to pick up whether your child needs visual aids. Maybe you're just telling the story, but he cannot see. So he's a visual learner. He wants to do kinesthetic. So incorporate
But
the
you
way.
can also create novelty in the story.
Yes.
Na? Make it
Yes.
novel.
Change it suddenly. Yeah.
Create the excitement over there. So once they're excited about it, it's really good.
Hook them.
So this brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, Divya, for being here with us and sharing your knowledge, which I'm sure everyone is going to benefit. I still remember, know it, got it, use it. What does it solve it, na?
Sort it, judge
Judge
it,
it and
judge
create it.
Create it. Yeah.
Lot. We're definitely going.
Got
Everyone
it.
should try and use it. Yes, got it. I also want to inform the audience today that we are having another course coming up by Swara Patel, the founder of Rhythm is Happy Feet, and it's about integrating kinesthetic learning in preschool curriculum. It's going to be starting on 3rd of June till 29th of June. 8 session, 2 hours each, Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. If anybody would like to join this session, please write to us on the abcdshow6@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to have you enroll the course. Also, please, all those who are here today, join us on our Thought Leaders group on Facebook, and please, let's share and discuss ideas, what we learned today of the workshop, how can we take it forward, give your ideas about the workshop, exchange ideas and learn from each other. And of course, please do go and like our YouTube page as well and our Facebook page. And until next Wednesday, bye-bye
And
everyone.
also write to us all your questions on Ask Amrita and Bela on Child
Yes,
Development.
very
We are
important,
waiting to
yes.
answer.
So I'd just like to
Alright.
encourage children how to think,
Yes.
and not what to think. And our President Kalam's, what he said, educationists should build the capacities of the spirit of inquiry, creativity, entrepreneurship, and moral leadership among students, and actually become their role model. So that's what we need to do. Thank you so much, Bela. Thank you so
Perfect.
much, Amrita.
Thank you,
And thank
Divya.
you, audience.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Divya. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Amrita.
I thank
Bye.
you, everybody, for coming to the ABCD show. I saw somebody here ask over here that how do I attend more sessions? So we're there every alternate Wednesday on the ABCD show at 4 o'clock. Please join our Facebook group because then you would get notifications over there and you'll know more about us. So bye-bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Divya,
Thank
again.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Divya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.